Enough's enough! Extradite Wing Chun, that's what you came here to do. But everywhere you go, you just commit mayhem, man.
Hello to all of the Classic Tribe that is returning, and welcome any new visitors. Today on Classic Movie Reviews Podcast, we are taking on a great kung fu action movie, Man from Hong Kong, aka The Dragon Flies, 1975. This movie has a special place in my heart. I saw it the night after I entered a karate tournament in New Orleans, where I was soundly defeated, receiving probably the second hardest blow to the head I ever took. Yeah, the action in this film is so good, I actually remembered it for over 30 years until it was released on DVD. Just for the record, I saw this film under the name Man from Hong Kong 1975. The Dragon Flies 1975, as it is now called, is a terrible pun. As we say down south, look at all them dragonflies, there must be snakes around here. This movie was written and directed by Brian Trenchard Smith. On IMDb.com, it has a 6.6 rating. On RottenTomatoes.com, the film has a 100% rating on the tomato meter and 61% audience score. Wikipedia states that Linda Gross of the Los Angeles Times said on August 20th, 1975, that the film was, quote, a slick, shallow, well-photographed Australian-Chinese movie which has substituted do-it-yourself decapitation with mass demolition, unquote. However, the original citation can no longer be recovered. Australian film critic Andrew L. Urban of urbancinephile.com.au said of the film, quote, the film is one of the few Australian-made kung fu action movies, and it is also notable for its superb cinematography by Russell Boyd, the brilliant lenser who went on to win the Oscar for his work on Master and Commander. The cast includes Hughes Keys Byrne, one of my favorite actors of the 70s, the high camp queen of thespian fruitery, Frank Thring, a casting quirk that paid off, the gorgeous Rebecca Gilling, Aussie icon Bill Hunter, and the macho man George Lazenby, plus a lot of politically incorrect entertainment that should be entertainment. Brian Trenchard Smith, who also plays a feisty fighting cameo role, directs with a single purpose, to maximize every frame for audience enjoyment, whether it's a prison cell fight, a Sydney street chase, or a Chinese restaurant bust-up. But it is the simplicity of the way the action is shot, not to mention the comedic touches, that gives it all a high adrenaline charge. We see it all in full frame, unlike the films of the 90s and later when handheld camera work became a fashionable alternative to disciplined choreography, unquote. Actors.
Right, and I'm a Shakespearean actor.
Frank Thring, who played Pontius Pilate and King Herod, was cast as a secretary named Willard and was described by an Australian film critic as the, quote, high camp queen of thespian fruitery. Thring was first covered in The Vikings, 1958, where, if you remember, I reported that in 1982 he was elected the King of Moomba, a Melbourne festival. The name of the festival may or may not mean up your butthole in many Aboriginal languages. Jimmy Wu Yang played Hong Kong Police Inspector Fong Sing Ling. He was born in 1944 in China. He was a Hong Kong swimming champion, like Bruce Lee was a Hong Kong dancing champion. Wang signed with the Shaw Brothers and gained a leading role in his first movie. Wang was probably the lead martial art actor until Bruce Lee films were released beginning in 1971. Wang's popular films include a lot of sword films such as One-Armed Swordsman 1967, The Golden Swallow 1968, Return of the One-Armed Swordsman 1969, and The Chinese Boxer 1970. Following The Chinese Boxer 1970, which he also directed, Wang broke his contract and went to work making films in Taiwan. He continued with films like One-Armed Boxer 1972, One-Armed Swordsman 1976, Master of the Flying Guillotine 1976, and later Dragon 2011. Interestingly, he was charged with murder in Taiwan in 1981. He was released for lack of evidence. In 2014, the New York Asian Film Festival honored him with a Lifetime Achievement Award. George Lazenby played the bad guy, Jack Wilton, although he wasn't on the screen that much. Lazenby was born in 1939 in Australia. He served in the Australian Special Forces, where one of his duties was teaching martial arts. In 1964, he moved to London, where he worked odd jobs until he became the top model in Europe from 1964 to 1968. Although he had relatively little acting experience, he was cast as James Bond for On Her Majesty's Secret Service 1969, following Sean Connery's departure after 5 films in this role. Here's where it gets odd. They offered Lazenby a 7-film deal as Bond, but he turned it down before On Her Majesty's Secret Service 1969 was released. He thought the rise of hippie culture would make spy films unpopular. Lazenby met Bruce Lee in 1972 and studied Lee's style, Jeet Kune Do. He was scheduled to appear in Game of Death, but Lee died in 1973. This film was not released until 1978. Lazenby made the 3 other films he had contracted for: Stoner 1974, The Dragonflies 1975, and International Assassin 1976. In Stoner 1974, Lazenby took over Lee's role, but returned to a general Western adversary in the next 2. In spite of some slips, Lazenby has done extremely well on television, in martial art films, in Emmanuel softcore porn, Bond spoof films, and other films such as Gettysburg 1993 and Star of Jaipur 1998. He also played a kung fu master on the television series Kung Fu: The Legend Continues 1994. Sammo Kam-bo Hung played the role of drug smuggler Win Chan. Hung was born in Hong Kong in 1952 while it was still under British control. Hung attended the China Drama Academy and was in the same opera company as Jackie Chan. He made his film debut at the age of 12 and has turned in almost 200 films and television performances. One of his best-known roles is as a Shaolin priest that was severely beaten by fellow priest Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon 1973, prior to Lee's character being recruited by the British. Hung began directing in 1977 and is still active. He was able to direct Jackie Chan in Heart of a Dragon 1985. He has a total of 37 directing credits. He also had a successful American television show, Martial Law, 1998 to 2000. In 2010, at the New York Asian Film Festival, Hung was awarded the Star Asia Lifetime Achievement Award. Hung remains active in martial art films, many with comedy themes, and is still working in 2019. Hughes Keays-Byrne played hip narcotic agent Maury Gross. Keays-Byrne was born in India when it was still under British control. He moved to Australia in 1973 and began acting around the same time. His first role was Stone 1974. Other well-known roles include The Dragonflies 1975, Mad Dog Morgan 1976, Mad Max 1979, where he played Toe Cutter, and he returned in Mad Max Fury Road 2015. Roger Ward played Australian narcotics officer Bob Taylor. Ward was born in 1936 in Australia. He began working early on the stage, in radio, and as a writer. He began in film in 1961 and had a very minor role in Mutiny on the Bounty 1962. He is known for Stone 1964, The Dragonflies 1975, Mad Max 1979 as Captain Fifi, Quigley Down Under 1990, although I have no idea which one he was, and Bad Behavior 2010. He has an impressive 93 film and television credits. Rosalind Spears played Australian journalist Carolyn Thorne. She was born in Sydney in 1951. She had a very short career, ending with only 9 films and television credits. Her first film was Stone 1974, which paired her with this film's co-stars, Hughes Keays-Byrne and Roger Ward. I'll just go ahead and say it. The Dragonflies 1975 is her best performance. Story.
Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
This movie begins at Ayers Rock in Australia. A Caucasian man is waiting in a car with a carry-on bag full of money and a revolver. The tour bus is coming down the road and parks in the lot. On the bus is Win Chan, Sammo Kam-bo Hung, carrying a matching carry-on. He is shadowed by an Australian man, Bob Taylor, Roger Ward. Win Chan and the man from the car badly exchange the bags while Taylor takes pictures of them. The car guy spots the photographer, and then a second Australian jumps out of the bus armed with a gun, and a police helicopter flies in. Both drug dealers escape. Win Chan runs up Ayers Rock while the other is chased down by the helicopter. I swear to you, they have a kung fu fight going up the rock. Win Chan stops his opponent with a headbutt and continues to the top. Once they get to the top, the real fighting takes place. The car chase guy dies in an explosion. Taylor wins the fight and arrests Win Chan.
Heroin? Well, it's not sherbet. Welcome to Australia, Mr. Chan. I'm Taylor, Federal Narcotics Bureau. And you're wanted in Hong Kong for robbery, drug peddling, and murder.
Chan won't talk, so they request Inspector Fong Sing Ling, Jimmy Yu Wang from Hong Kong, to come in on the case. He is at the police academy helping with training. The song Sky High plays as a hang glider flies over Hong Kong. Fong is the baddest dude at the academy, beating 4 at a time in hand-to-hand combat. The hang glider lands right in the middle of the practice field. The posh Australian pilot is Carolyn Thorne, Rosalind Spears. She calms a bit when she finds out that Fong is an inspector.
You going to give me the 3rd degree? You're famous for that here, aren't you?
I'm going to escort you back to your hotel.
Well, in an unmarked car, I hope. I don't want people thinking I mix with policemen.
Fong treats her like she is being arrested, but he takes her back to her hotel with a little sightseeing. They strip and jump into bed and get nasty.
Can I have my kite back now? I do have to be in Sydney by the weekend.
Certainly. I will arrange it.
You're my first Chinese.
Will you review me in your column?
Fong leaves for Sydney. On the flight, he reviews the files on Win Chan. Taylor and Maury Gross, Hughes Keys Byrne, who is some kind of narc, meet him when he arrives. Fong says Win Chan is the top courier and knows the top man. Fong is allowed to question Win Chan alone. Fong and Win Chan get into a fight in the cell. Fong beats him down and gives him a swirly in the commode. After his swirly, Win Chan gives the name Jack Wilton, George Lazenby. The Australians want the 2 Chinese gone, and they want to handle Wilton.
How you doing, Bob?
He'll live.
Okay for court tomorrow?
We'll patch him together somehow.
Right. What did you use on him, man?
I just defended myself.
God help us if the judge finds out.
In the morning, they load Win Chan in a car and head for the court where they can get his extradition papers. But a sniper is waiting and kills Win Chan. Fong spots the rooftop shooter and heads after him. They have a foot race through the town with the usual knocking over of fruit vendors and guys on ladders. The 2 other cops are far behind. The assassin jumps on a motorcycle and Fong double kicks him off. The assassin then runs through the kitchen of a restaurant. The assassin gets the jump and cuts Fong's back. They have a full-on fight in the kitchen. The assassin is choking Fong out until Fong crushes the eggs. Ouch. The assassin runs into the restaurant, which is Chinese. The fight continues and the guy is almost Fong's match. After destroying the restaurant, Fong lifts the assassin over the lobster tank. He goes in the top and comes out the side, ending the fight. The assassin is dead, but Fong gets a card for a martial arts studio and a bar from his wallet. The Australians are unhappy that the man is dead.
Don't worry about what he might have said. Don't worry about gathering evidence. Oh, no, man. Just pow!
They say he was a bouncer for Wilton. Later, Wilton is at a dojo interviewing replacements for the dead assassin. He watches them fight for a bit, and then he fights 3 at a time and wins handily. Remember, Fong fought 4. Wilton is using weighted rolls in his gloves. The 3 cops decide to go see Wilton in his 17-story tower. They go to the 16th floor where the office is located. To meet them is Willard, Frank Thring. Willard won't let them in to see Wilton. Fong smashes Willard's fingers in a cigar box, beats down the bodyguard, and breaks into Wilton's office. He is upstairs in his house. Willard tells them that the assassin had been fired a week before. Gross is going insane about the violence.
All right, cool it.
Oh, shut up, Bob. Hey, enough's enough. Extradite Win Chan, that's what you came here to do. But everywhere you go, you just commit mayhem, man. Look, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you my list of contacts. I'll give you every name I've painstakingly bloody gathered over the past 2 years, and you can do the lot of them. This is Australia, mate, not 55 days at Peking.
Hey, don't give me any shit.
I'm sorry.
Wilton orders an accident for Fong. That night, 2 new assassins go to Fong's hotel room and attack him with knives. He handles them easily. In the morning, he goes to the ocean and practices his forms, way before Miyagi and Daniel-san did it. He sees a pigeon and gets an idea. The pigeon morphs into a hang glider. He calls Carolyn, but she is in bed with a greasy bull hunk. They meet in the afternoon at the local hang gliding area. A few phallic references are thrown in. He tells Caroline that he wants to meet Wilton socially. Wilton is at a party shooting an apple off the head of a female with a crossbow. Fong and Carolyn show up at the party. She knows everybody because she is a reporter. Fong and Wilton make angry eyes at each other. Wilton challenges Fong to a kung fu match.
My business takes me to the East regularly. I find the Chinese make the best servants. I understand your culture and your language, Inspector. And your martial arts. Especially those. Hey, listen everybody! I presume you've all heard of Kung Fu. Well, it so happens we have a well-known exponent of the art here with us. I was wondering if you'd like to see an exhibition. Just a little one.
Wilton uses a surprise attack. 4 guards with cutting weapons join the fight. Fong wears them all out. Wilton grabs his crossbow and Fong pulls a throwing knife. Carolyn jumps in between them and stops the fight. That night, Fong goes to Wilton's Martial Arts Center. It is on the 10th floor, so he climbs up the outside of the building. He breaks into the school and is attacked by a spear-wielding man. Fong handles that guy, but 20 or so black belts come in and attack. He beats them down until there are only about 5 left. The last bunch come after him with a spear, a 3-sectional staff, a sword, and some other weapons. He handles them, only getting cut 3 or 4 times. When he tries to escape, he is set upon by 2 more thugs. He beats them to the ground and escapes in the elevator. The original guys get up and stop the elevator. The bad guys slide down the cable and they actually have a fight in the elevator shaft. Of course, Fong wins. The 2 other guys run down the stairs and Fong jumps in a passing van driven by 2 hot girls. The bad guys get the tag number of the van. They take Fong to the girl's veterinary father's office. Fong is controlling his blood loss with his mind.
Looks as though he's been attacked with a knife or something. Bloody miracle he's still alive, if you ask me. Oh, heart rate's unbelievably slow. But strong. Steady. Almost as though he's using his own willpower to control his heartbeat and respiration.
What do you mean?
Well, slow down the blood loss, counteract pain and shock.
Fong wakes and has been treated by the vet. The girl looks at Fong like a hungry dog looks at a bone. Gross goes to Carolyn's house looking for Fong. She is evasive and unhelpful. I don't know how much time has passed, but Fong and Angelica, Rebecca Gilling, the vet's daughter, are riding horses and dating. They decide that he must go back, but not before she has sex with him.
Do you have to go back?
Yes,
Why?
because that's my job.
Why is it so important to you?
To understand that, you would have to be a Chinese.
Would you settle for plastic surgery? Okay, I'll take you back tomorrow. Do you think you've recovered enough for me to make love to you?
I think I could stand the pain.
Wilton is in a snit, and Willard is tracking Angelica's van. When her and Fong head back, there is an attack squad of 2 cars and a motorcycle. The motorcycle rider attaches a magnetic bomb to the van. The explosion wrecks the van and kills Angelica. Fong hides with Angelica's body, and the 3 thugs think he's dead. Fong rips a dude out of his car and heads after the bad guys. The motorcycle guy comes after Fong with a gun and ends up going off the road into the water. Fong chases down the other 2 and after some bumping, sends one through a sign into a fiery crash. The other car runs through a construction site, hitting the stop sign guy. After running through some picnics and making other drivers curse, Fong forces the other car through a house. He rams the wounded driver and leaves the man burning in a field. Fong heads on to town. Wilton gets the word that Fong has escaped the trap. He has all of his guards surround his house. He puts down the metal doorway blocks, just like in Forbidden Planet 1956. Fong calls Carolyn for help. Wilton opens his safe, which has money, bombs, drugs, and other weapons. Wilton arms himself with a submachine gun. Fong gets the hang glider from Carolyn, who is rocking a tiny bikini. They use a boat to pull Fong into the area. Gross and Taylor are following the path of destruction Fong has left in the countryside. Fong flies and we see some nice aerial views of the Sydney Opera House. Fong flies to the top of Wilton's building. Way before Snake did it. There is one guard on the roof, but Fong tricks him and then beats him down. He throws a rope from the window washer's lift and rappels down to the 17th floor. He kicks through the window and he and Wilton start fighting right away. They manage to empty the gun in the fight without anyone getting shot. Wilton's guard starts hacking through the door. Two men have a fairly even fight until Fong kicks Wilton into the fireplace. After Wilton burns a little bit, Fong gets the edge and subdues Wilton. The security crew is cutting through the metal door. Fong goes to the safe and gets a heroin sample and a pineapple grenade. He tapes the grenade into Wilton's mouth and has set a 90-second fuse.
A 90-second fuse grenade. Once unmoved, and the pin is pulled, and the countdown starts. Then I will throw you in that safe and shut the door. You will write a full confession and sign it.
He forces him to sign a confession or he will pull the pin and lock him in the safe. While the guards cut, Wilton writes and the Australian police surround the building. Fong is leading Wilton around by the grenade pin when the guy from the roof comes down the rope. Wilton attacks and Fong accidentally pulls the pin. He throws Wilton into the safe and locks it. Fong beats the roof guy down and climbs onto the rope. Wilton is freaking out in the safe. Fong rappels to the ground, Australian style, face down. He gives Gross and Taylor the confession and heroin. They ask him what he does for an encore, and the top of the building explodes.
All the evidence we need
To prove what Wilton is. Here.
the confession.
Carry it.
You're a hard act to follow.
What do you do if an encore?
Gross and Taylor laugh, and the song Sky High by Jigsaw plays over the credits. World famous short summary. When you're busted for drugs over there, you're in for the hassle of your life. 1970s anti-smuggling PSA. Hope you enjoyed today's show. You can find connections to social media and email on my site at classicmovierev.com or in the podcast show notes. I sure would appreciate it if you would recommend this show to your friends, colleagues, and families. Tell them that you can learn a lot about movies and it's really fun. That really helps the show get found. If you want to comment, suggest a movie, or help out, contact me by email at jec@classicmovierev.com. Beware the Moors.